Hey, so I'm Mike. I'll be the instructor for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And so what I want to do is just give you a preview of what you will be working on. Basically, the class is titled something like From Ash Board to Ash Furniture. So I'll be bringing in a bunch of rough lumber. Some of it will be ash. I've got cases full of it there. But it's basically going to be like this. It comes from this is the way we get it from the sawmill locally here. Comes in what they call 5/4. It's 5/4 of an inch thick. It's fully thick. So we're going to work that down into some really, really nice pieces. And you can see how some of that rough that stuff is. So I'm going to have some maple. I'll have some ash, of course. And then I'll also have a little bit of black walnut. And I think I have a lot of oak in there. White oak and red oak. So that's one thing that you'll probably need to think about is what species you want to use. Okay. And then what we'll be building is we're going to be making these small tables, okay? So this is another thing if you could decide on, basically there's two sizes. There's this one here, I'll show you the drawings in a few minutes, but basically it's about 13 inches across, and I think it's like 23 or 24 inches going the other direction. It has two legs, and then there will be a spreader down there, a stretcher. Okay, or you can go with a smaller version. This one is probably about 12 inches by 12 inches across. It has only one leg, and then it has a little steel down there for ballast. So we're building those. And then you can control the height. So if you wanted to leave it like that height is what I use next to my chair. And then I put my mouse pad on it here. And of course, this is in the rough stage, and then you'll also be able to then do stuff like this, where you put a coffee cup that holds a cup or a beer or whatever, a wine, a cellular or something like that. There's a smaller version of it. You'll be doing those. And you can see like on this small table how you could put two glasses of wine, 2 cups in there and that. So, and then as far as the height goes, then again, if you want to, if you could, before you come to the classes, figure out, number one, what size table you want, the larger one or the smaller one. And then secondly, what height you want to go to the top of the table. And then we can figure it out from there as far as the legs go, how high they should be. And then as far as the use of the finish of it, basically what's happening is the tables are going to be kind of like what we're seeing right now at first. You'll be doing that on the first day. And then there's a lip here. That lip is 3/4 of an inch high. So basically you have a 3/4 inch deep pocket all the way around, and you can fill that with just about anything. So what I did on this one, for instance, I took some black walnut, and then I made it a little thinner, than the outside rim. It's a little hard to see with the video, but that's black walnut. It's a little lower. Then I went to ash, and that's a little lower yet. And then I went into not walnut. I'll think of it in a second. Not coconut. Come on. Anyhow, different species, but it's got some cool character to it, and that's even thinner yet. So then I did the 2-part epoxy. So if you want to do 2-part epoxy, you can. The only thing about that is it does not hold up outdoors, so it has to be an indoor project. Also, we have to be careful as far as the quantity and the time frame that we have. But we'll do the 2-part epoxy pour if you want. Like on this one here, what I did was this is the larger table, right? Okay, so in here I have pea gravel. I'll be bringing that with me, and you can see I'm probably going to put just one more coat on there. I like it to be a little flush out here, but in here I might even leave it like it is. You can see the two-dimensional. It's up to you. Then I put a piece of slate in here. If you want to do that, I'll have a couple pieces, but they're not all that attractive. This was a really nice piece. If you want to do that, stop at Home Depot. Actually carries slate, and their natural slate. Pick up a piece of that. It's like about 12 inches by 12 inches. Bring it with. I have the tools to cut it and to shape it like what I've done here, right? If you want to do that. I put some wood in here. You don't have to, you whatever. And then we can put a copper, I'll have some copper tubing, and then that's going to fit there like that, and that's what holds that up. So that's another way to finish them. This one I'm looking forward to. I'm bringing it along. It's $14 at Home Depot, and it's basically an outdoor pad, right? And so I'm going to cut that to shape, and I'm going to put that in one of these tables like this one right here. Okay, so this is a little larger one, obviously, but this is what I used to do. This is our kitchen island. It's 4 foot by 8 foot. But just to give you an idea, some of the stuff that we put in there were photos that we took, the drawings of the log home that we're in, the detailed drawings, some blueprints, my son's Coast Guard stuff, some certificates from triathlons that we did. These are all basically buried in there and have been. Bowling, Sister Bay Bowl, some slate and some other things. And then we even have our dogs, one of our dogs' ashes in here and his what do you call it, a cremation certificate. So things like that you can put in. So here is another one that I'm pretty much done with the top part. This is a red cedar, right? This is a little deeper. Those sides are about 3 inches deep. This is basically the underside. I've not put the finish in yet, the bracing for the legs, but we'll be doing that. And then in here, what I did is I ran a piece going across like that. And then I have some slate in here, but it's a really dark slate and it's dropped down about 1/8 of an inch below everything else. And I think this is coming out pretty well. This is, again, red cedar, but these are the kinds of things that you'll be asked to figure out the first day as to how you're going to finish the inside, and then we can kind of work towards that. Here's another one. This was a very early stage one when I was testing, so it's really rough, but this is aromatic cedar that came off of my mom and dad's credenza that they gave us and fell apart, but I kept the cedar anyhow. But I even got to a point where I had issues here because I was trying to put a whole piece in there. That's very difficult to do. That's why we're going with the smaller pieces on the inside. Here, similar, this is barnwood, old barnwood, and I'm going to be bringing some of that along. I have some nice pieces with red that still has the red paint on the inside. And then this one I just put in and then varnished it again. It was an earlier one, and I figured out that's when I figured out that it's really hard to cut a piece to go inside. Instead, you want to take smaller pieces, and we'll show you how to do that. But that one is really cool. And this one, I figured I would just varnish it and then flush, so it's flush. But I could have taken the same stuff, dropped it down about 1/4 of an inch, and then we would do the 2-part epoxy. So those are different ways to finish those. Okay, and then there's different uses for the table. So again, that one obviously is just going to be sitting somewhere where it's not going to be good for like a mouse pad or anything. The larger ones I use for my mouse and my computer and an iPad, and et cetera, but then again, we also have the ability to cut. We have golden retrievers, so they have big tails and they knock our drinks and so on over. We also have a fire pit out there, and that's so I'm going to be building some in the future that'll be more for outdoors. They won't have the 2-part epoxy on them, but they'll be for outdoors. And again, they'll still have these same cup holders on them like that, because when the dogs go by and people go by, they're always their wine glasses and everything else. Plus it'll be a serving tray in the middle, like here. You could have that there, and then in the middle could be a plate, and then have another one here. You could do that. So those are decisions that I'll be asking you to make the first day, so we can again plan forward. And then as far as the legs go, there's different kinds of legs that you can do, and they're basically going to be, mostly are going to be like this. They're going to be 1 inch by 3 inch, pretty much because of the time frame that we have in the class. I have to stick with some standards, but you could take and make the feet, these are the feet, you could make those out of like 2 different contrasting boards, like a black walnut and a cherry or something like that, or you can do them like this where it's a solid piece. We'll cover that, and then I'll cover how to do this. And then as far as the tables go, connecting the tabletop to the legs, especially if you're flying to this class, is you're going to need to be able to take this apart. So right up in here, there's a special piece of hardware that I put in, and you'll be able to take this apart with a wrench and then put it in your suitcase. Whoop. Okay, and then I got thinking too that they could be used for lower things, like an ottoman. So my wife grabbed some of this stuff out of her storage thing, right? And then we got the crown stapler. So there's no reason that, again, with lowered legs, we have to figure out what the height would be. But basically, we could have like an area here that could even have a cup holder, and then same thing on the other side. But then in the middle, that could be a piece of pad with a fabric on it and be an ottoman. And then again, it would have to be lower. So if you're new to woodworking, don't be concerned, because this is what the class is all about. But if you're an experienced woodworker, I think there's going to be a lot of challenges that you can put on yourself as well. But basically what's going to happen is you're going to be given a paper cutlass like this. We're going to take each thing step by step. Step one, shape the floor, which is a piece of plywood. And again, we're going to show you how to do it. Then you go to the next step, which is going to be shaping what we call the rims, which is those outside pieces. Here we're going to start doing some miter cuts. And then, this is where that afternoon we'll be starting to say, okay, how are you going to finish the inside? What do you want to do? Do you want to put pictures of the family in there, a certificate, a marriage certificate, a divorce certificate, whatever, in there? Do you want to put some slates, some pebbles? Do you want to make it an ottoman, whatever. Okay, so you can do all that. Then we'll start our pours, which if you're going to do a pour, like a two-part epoxy pour, those need overnight to cure for the first coat. And so what we'll end up doing is we'll try to do one of those the very first night if we can. And then that way, the next day we're going to come in and we're going to start working on the legs and things like that. And so this is part of my shop. This is my shop, by the way. This is here. I have a nice little spot in the corner. I have my laptop. And then, so from here, I'm going to get out of the camera and I'm going to actually go on to the computer screen to give an idea of how the drawings work out. Okay, so this is Mike again, and now I'm on my computer. And basically, I do 3D drawing. I use a software called SketchUp, S-K-E-T-C-H-U-P. It's actually, you can get it as a free software. I have a pro version, but basically what it does is it allows me to draw in 3D. And so this is the table itself. Again, I'm going to put it into a little different mode here. And this is what we're going to do the first day, which is build this top piece. And then chances are you might want to paint it black on the inside. And then because of that way, when you start putting stuff in it, there's basically a really nice 3D background. Are you going to put a cup holder on there? If so, where are you going to put it? Then as far as the drawings go and the details, you can see here, this is a typical example of what we're going to do that first day. We're going to grab a piece of plywood, we're going to cut it to a certain width, a certain length, and then we're going to shape these corners, these 4 miter corners. And again, if you haven't done miters before, I think by the time you're done here, you're going to be in really, really good shape and see how easy it really can be. Then these are what I call the rims. The rims are the edges all along here, these boards. And then speaking of that, you can see that on 1 or 2 of mine, I'm starting to do some contrast stuff. So I'm putting like these small pieces, I'm doing black walnut in those, and you'll be able to do that. So everything is written out as far as the instructions, so how to take a board, put it on the saw, what to cut it to, and then again, that very first day, we're all going to hopefully we'll have the floor done, which is that plywood, and then we'll have these rims done. And then I'll show you some really cool techniques for using basically painter's tape for doing mitered corners. Here's where, again, the very first day I'll ask you to decide what are you going to do on the inside. That's a big part of this, because we need to know what you're going to do and how. Then that way we can start figuring out how you're going to do it, what materials we need, time frame, and everything else. Here, this is a very early drawing of the ottoman concept. And here I was thinking, all right, on the side here there could be kind of like a handle piece that fits in there, and then you've got the pad here and so on, right? So and then here's an example of, for instance, let's putting some slate in there, and that's just one simple piece of slate that's 12 by 12, and we're going to snip off the corners. Again, I have the tools for doing that, and you'll be able to cut some tile if you want to. Go to the legs. So the legs are basically 1 inch by 3 inch, and then again, once you tell me how high you want that top to be for the table, then we'll decide how long each leg should be. So again, typically I'm doing 18 inches, but it turns out that, let's see, I did some measurements, and I believe that if you use 14 inches, then that seems to work out nice for an ottoman, or if you're going to make a bench to sit on, like a hall bench that you can sit on, or put your sit on while you're putting your shoes on or whatever. Those seem to be like 14-inch legs work out pretty well, because then the top of the table is somewhere around 17 inches. You could also go the other direction and go like a 32-inch leg. We'll have the material for that, and that would be for like a hall table where you want it to be up taller. Okay, so then from there we'll be able to take the same templates that I make, and you're going to be doing some mortising, and that you're going to be doing with just a handheld router. And again, those of you that are traveling, especially those of you that might be traveling by airplane, you can break this table down into small enough pieces that it'll fit in a suitcase. So a decent sized suitcase, if you bring it with you, then you can put this inside of there. It'll weigh less than the 50 pounds as well. So again, definitely important for people that are flying. We're going to be doing a rectangle type, and we're going to be doing those we're just going to be doing with a router. So it'll be a router like this. It'll be an 18-volt router with a template guide. I'll show you how we hook it up to a vac, 18-volt vac. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take this goofy template, but this is created on the CNC router, and then we're going to put that mortar or the router on top of there, and that's what's going to shape a perfect, absolutely perfect mortise. Again, all done with hand tools. Or there's another version where you punch these little holes into a board, and then you use a Forstner bit, which is a drill bit. I'll show you that in a second here. I've got one set up. Yep. So then we'll use a Forstner bit, like one of these guys, right? And you make 5 holes all in a line, and then that makes a mortise as well. And it can be done by people that, like when you get back home, if you don't have a router, then you can do it with drill press. So that's how that's going to work. That's how we're going to shape that leg. Same with the feet. Okay, so in conclusion, if you can know what you want to do here as far as the height of the table, the size of the table, whether it be the large or the small, and then how you want to finish the inside of that area. Again, there's a 3/4 of an inch drop, so anything that's 3/4 of an inch or less can be put in there. Again, I will have with me a little bit of slate, but not much. So if you want that, you can pick up your own. I will have the pebbles. I will definitely have all this kind of oddball wood. Butternut, that's what I was thinking of. That's butternut, okay, in there. So I'll have all these little scrap pieces that you can do. The height of the table, the size of the table, and what you want to put inside of it, and possibly what you're going to use the table for, so that we can consider all that. So again, really looking forward to having you. Again, hopefully these things have given you some ideas of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. See you Sunday, hopefully Sunday night, that you're able to show up. Again, all of those of you that are staying there at the clearing, then I think you'll probably be there for Sunday night's dinner, and then after that we walk over. After dinner, we go over to the workshop, and that's when we'll probably discuss a lot of these things, like what you're going to do with it, how you're going to do it, size and everything else, so I can start to do some thinking and calculating. And then on Monday, that way when we come to the shop, we're ready to hit it right away. So again, looking forward to it. See ya.